In January of 1946, I took my wife and little daughter to Barbados in the British West Indies for a holiday. Not knowing there were any difficulties in getting a return passage, I had not booked hours before leaving New York. Upon our arrival in Barbados, I discovered that there were only 2 ships serving the islands, one from Boston and one from New York. I was told there was no available space on either ship before September. As I had commitments in New York for the first week in May, I put my name on the long waiting list for the April sailing. A few days later, the ship from New York was anchored in the harbor. I observed it very carefully and decided that this was the ship we should take. I returned to my hotel and determined on an interaction that would be mine. Were we actually sailing on that ship? I settled down in an easy chair in my bedroom to lose myself in this imaginative action. In Barbados, we take a motor launch or rowboat out into the deep harbor when we embark on a large steamer. I knew I must catch the feeling that we were sailing on that ship. I chose the interaction of stepping from the tender and climbing up the gangplank of the steamer. The first time I tried, my attention wandered after I'd reached the top of the gangplank. I brought myself back down and tried again and again. I do not recall how many times I carry out this action in my imagination until I reached the deck and looked back at the port with the feeling of sweet sadness at departing. I was happy to be returning to my home in New York, but nostalgic in saying goodbye to the lovely island and our family and friends. I do recall that in one of my many attempts at walking up the gangplank and the feeling that I was sailing, I fell asleep. After I awoke, I went about the usual social activities of the day and evening. The following morning, I received a call from the steamship company requesting me to come down to their office and pick up our tickets for the April sailing. I was curious to know why Barbados had been chosen to receive the cancellation and why I, at the end of the long waiting list, was to have the reservation. But all that the agent could tell me was that a cable had been received that morning from New York, offering passage for 3. I was not the first the agent had called, but for reasons she could not explain. Those she had called said that now they found it inconvenient to sail in April. We sailed on April 20th and arrived in New York on the morning of May the 1st. In the production of my play, The Sailing on a Boat That Would Bring Me to New York by the 1st of May, I played the 4 most important characters in my drama. As the producer, I decided to sail on a specific ship at a certain time. Playing the part of the author, I wrote the script. I visualized the interaction which conformed to the outer action I would take if my desire were realized. As the director, I rehearsed myself, the actor, in that imagined action of climbing the gangplank until that action felt completely natural.